Hey guys, welcome to Street Diaries for July of 2024. Now, June 2024 was the first Street Diaries episode that I decided to put up. This obviously is going to be the second one. This time I thought I'd try a slightly different format. This time, rather than putting music behind the images and then letting a collage of images run through where you only get to look at each one for 4 or 5 seconds, maybe not even that. This time I thought I'd condense the amount of images that I put into the video, but also give you an insight into why or how I made the scene or what I created within the scene that was already there. Funky little names that I like to give my images from time to time. Just a bit of an insight into what is within the frame rather than, as I said, you just quickly tick and flick, as I say, which is what the world does too much of on social media these days. So as I said, new format. Whether I continue on with that type of format, I don't know. Maybe that'll be helped by your comments in the section below. Hope you enjoy it. Touch base with you later. So image one in today's episode is one that I call Dental Plan. The reason why it's called Dental Plan is that you see the building behind the food delivery cyclist there. That's the old dental hospital in Surrey Hills, Sydney, right beside Central Station. Now that building, I also call that building the Sydney Flatiron because it is the same type of shape and design, not as grand, but the same type of shape and design as the famous Flatiron building in New York City. Now this building here, the Sydney Dental Hospital, actually opened in 1901, so it's quite iconic and stands loud and proud right between the start of Surrey Hills and, as I said, Central Station. It's got such a unique shape. I wish that I was directly in line with the glass windows that you can see behind the tree in the middle ground there, so that you could see both angles of the building, but if in order to do that I would need to be on the street and straight in the middle of all the traffic. So I took a handful of shots on this day, but this one struck out more than the others, mainly because of the colour, the bright, vibrant orange colour of the cyclist there. I also liked the fact that the couple there to the right of the cyclist in their winter clothing there are staring back towards the beautiful building. Also some people behind the cyclist, a car over on the left. I think it tells a bit of a story because you can see the essence of the building, even though you can only see the pointy end and one side. And I think the colour of the cyclist's jacket draws your attention straight away and then leads straight on through to the tree in the middle ground and then the dental hospital in the background. Okay, so this one I call Spandau Ballet. This one was taken on the steps of the Sydney Opera House. My focus was initially drawn towards the guy on the right in the foreground, about to take photos of someone with his phone. But I did also notice that there was a couple, one of which is the woman posing as a ballerina, or she probably is a ballerina. Her partner is behind these two guys on the right-hand side, and they were obviously posing for photos, and from their perspective the Sydney Harbour Bridge would have been in the backdrop, but I was obviously facing a different direction, and I thought if I could sneak around to this vantage point here and I could take the picture very, very quickly before these two guys on the right hand side moved, I knew that they would obscure the guy taking photos of the ballerina. So I was waiting until she was mid-pose. It was a very windy day, which meant that that scarf that she had was going to be flying all over the place. I purposely waited until she had it up above her head and I knew the wind would take care of the rest. And at 1/500th of a second, it captures this moment perfectly, exactly when she was completely vertical with the right foot on the ground in that position. So I absolutely love this shot. My favourite from the day, quite possibly my favourite shot of the year thus far. So this image is called Observe, should be blatantly obvious. You can see the gentleman there with the sling bag leaning against the entrance to the underground town hall station in the Sydney CBD, and obviously a very busy day in the Sydney CBD, and lots of people moving about, and I just love the fact that I captured him just stopping and taking a break, or perhaps he was waiting for someone, I don't know, but the fact that he was just still, nice, calm, chilled, whilst the hustle and bustle of the Sydney CBD happened around him. So you've got the people going across in front of him in the foreground. He's beautifully situated in that middle ground where he's just stationary. You have people coming and going out of the underground station that you can see through the glass behind the gentleman with the sling bag, and then you had the more people moving around in the background against the Woolworths building. Okay, so I'll call this one Gimme That. This was shot at the very northern end of the Sydney CBD, right at the start of Circular Quay. It's called Gimme That because I've purposely set it up so that the first of the two business gentlemen that you can see is motioning to the two people on the far left eating ice creams that I want one of those ice creams. And then potentially the second businessman on the far right of the frame is also thinking, yeah, I think I could take one of those as well. I was lucky that there was around about a metre, maybe a metre and a half between the two business gentlemen, and that allowed me to frame the people sitting on the bench between the two business gentlemen. And then you've got the tree and the rest of Circular Quay, or the trams in the background, so that adds some depth to the image. And then the eyes immediately move over to the left of the people with the ice cream. So you can see the gentleman with the ice cream with the beanie on. He's looking across as if to say, no, you're not. You're going to get one of these ice creams. Well, he was probably looking towards me, to be honest, but it looks as though he's looking towards the businessman saying, you're not getting my ice cream. And as I said, the second businessman is looking, saying, yeah, you get it and I'll take the other one. Plenty of depth in this image, and I'm really fond of this image as well. This photo here I simply call By George. The reason for that, or a few reasons. One is that it's smack bang in the middle of the cinema precinct in George Street, Sydney, the Sydney CBD, which is the main thoroughfare for the Sydney CBD. A lot of times when you're out and about shooting in the Sydney CBD or around the Opera House, you will come across a wedding shoot. I did not for the life of me expect to see one right in the middle of the Sydney CBD. I love the fact that this couple chose to do one, or at least part of the shoot here. And I was just minding my own business, not far away from the end of my shoot for this particular day. I was just grabbing a bite to eat before I shot a little bit more and then headed home. And then all of a sudden, to my surprise, I saw a wedding photographer with this couple getting ready to pose them in the middle of the tram tracks there. So I thought, right, well, I'll step out of the way on an angle where the couple are not going to be focusing on me when the wedding photographer is actually pointing his camera at them. But on this in this shot, they were actually walking across to be posed on the other side from where they first started. So I thought, right, well, they're not being posed right now. They're not taking pictures of them, so I'll grab a shot as I go across. And I love the fact that the groom is looking back up towards the northern end of the city and the bride is looking straight at me. It's a perfect pose in terms of what I was able to get, not being the wedding photographer on the day. So it tells a fascinating story, just the fact that you've got a wedding couple right in the middle of the Sydney CBD. You've got the tram lines, you've got the McDonald's and the famous Metro Theatre in the background there. I just think that it's a nice, fun, interesting shot in the middle of the CBD. So this image here I simply call Beak. When I see iconic buildings such as the famous Sydney Opera House, I tend to completely avoid shooting the building in its entirety. Every now and again there'll be a reason to include the whole building, but for iconic buildings like these, I think in many ways it has more impact when you just shoot part of the building. And on this occasion, I was down on the lower level, down on the restaurant level, with the harbour immediately at my back. And to be honest, I thought, well, I've only got another 20 or 30 minutes to shoot here. Let's just see if I can go down on a lower level, look at the building from a different perspective. And immediately I saw that there were people coming and going in front of me. And I thought, well, I'll let the people move across in front of me. They think that I'm shooting high enough so that they're not even going to be in the shot. But in reality, I wanted them in the shot. And they were only about a metre away from me. And I had the 18mm f2 lens and set it at zone focus. I think it was a metre and a half. So at that proximity to me, those people were never going to be in focus, but the intention was never to have them in focus. In fact, it was intentional to have them slightly out of focus, but with the main intention to have the building, the Opera House, in focus, so that the eyes immediately bounce off the people in the foreground, straight up into the lamp and to the building. And of course I called it beak because the right edge of the building there looks like a bird's beak. So this image is called Ibis McDonald. Why? Because for those who are unaware, that large bird you see on the edge of the garbage bin is called an ibis. In Australia, we call them bin chickens. The ibis has been startled by the gentleman on the right about to deposit the McDonald's rubbish, hence Ibis McDonald. I find this a fascinating, almost fun type image because it tells the story of this particular part of the Circular Quay precinct at the very northern end of the Sydney CBD. It's loaded with seagulls and ibis birds just hunting for food all the time, and they are not shy in coming forward to grab food from you at every opportunity. So the gentleman's about to throw the rubbish into the bin. The ibis is starting to move away, but really doesn't go too far. He's just perched around that bin the whole time. You can see the people in the background enjoying their meal. It's a nice sunny day. It's as I said, it's just a nice depiction of city life and wild animals in amongst us all, we're just trying to survive. This image is simply called minimums. Why is it called minimums? Well, if you take away the seagull in the bottom right corner of the frame, it's just a standard close-up image of people moving around the northern end of the city right up against Circular Quay. The reason why I've called it minimums, for those of you like me who are addicted to those plane takeoff and landing YouTube videos, the good quality ones, I just find them absolutely mesmerizing to watch. Fun fact, they are my ASMR video late at night, watching on the phone to help me get to sleep. They're so calming, and I just love the whole process in how those pilots and co-pilots just go about manipulating those huge planes to get them up into the air or get them down. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you hear the software, the voice in the software or on the software in the planes. When it's approaching the ground, it will call down the altitude, and then once it gets very, very close, you hear the voice in the cockpit say minimums. In other words, it's too late if you want to, or almost too late if you want to take off again now, you better land this thing. And that's what I perceive to be going on with that seagull. You see the wings helping to slow the seagull down, the landing gear, be at the feet of the seagull, fully extended and ready to come down onto the pavement there. Just a fun little shot and a nice little play on words. So this image I simply call fuel dump. This is another one that I obviously took from the lower level, the restaurant / cafe area below the main concourse of the Sydney Opera House. This was a little further along from where I took the previous shot that you saw in this video. Just a different perspective, again, just capturing part of the beautiful building. I noticed these two guys taking photos of one another. A nice perspective as far as I can see, and I was lucky that a seagull was hovering above them just as I was taking the photo. And so then my perception of that photo is it's a plane hovering above, dumping fuel into the ocean because it needs to get lighter for one reason or another. And of course, fuel dump could mean fuel into the ocean. It might also be that these two gentlemen are about to have, well, let's just say, not a very pleasant experience being below a seagull.